Hi everyone. I want to do a bit of a different video today. Instead of our normal mindfulness practice, I wanted to make this video all about what is mindfulness. It's a question that some of you have been sending me messages asking me about, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about what it is and how it can be beneficial in our day-to-day lives. As often, mindfulness is one of those things that seems a bit abstract and a bit airy-fairy or a bit woo, when actually it's quite simple, and it has a lot of really quite profound benefits, and that can be applied to our day-to-day lives. Before we get into that, why don't we start with a quick mindfulness practice, just allow us to come into this present moment and to let go of our days a little bit. If I can invite you to, in our normal meditation posture, for us to put one hand on our chest, in the center of our chest, another hand is resting on our tummy. And whenever you feel ready, I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to start by taking 3 big deep breaths in through the nose and letting them out slowly through the mouth with a bit of a sigh. Now just letting our breath just return to its normal rhythm, keeping our hands on our chest and on our tummy just for the next couple of moments. I'll invite you just to really notice where you feel your breath in your body. If you feel it in your chest, or if you feel it all the way down your tummy. I'm trying to change the breath in any way, but just noticing where you feel it right now, where you feel it most strongly. And just allow yourself to come into the sensation of where you notice your breath in your body. And just noticing as you bring your attention to the breath, and you begin to breathe a bit more mindfully. Just notice if the breath becomes slower in any way or deeper. Just allow yourself to sink into that feeling. Great. And whenever you feel ready, you can just drop your hands and you can come back into the room whenever you're ready. So thanks for joining us. So what is mindfulness? Jon Kabat-Zinn put it really simply. He's a mindfulness teacher. He says that mindfulness is being alive and knowing it. So just feeling ourselves just here in this present moment, free of any thought of the future or thoughts of the past, and just noticing what it feels like just to be here in this moment. And some of you, that might be even a little bit too abstract or a bit too philosophical, and I don't mean it to be. Think about it this way: imagine, imagine your day yesterday. Imagine from the moment that you woke up, your alarm goes off, and you get up and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to get out of bed, I'm cozy, what do I need to do? And you check the time, and you might snooze it, and you wonder how much time you have, and eventually you get out of bed, and you find yourself into the bathroom. You maybe checked Facebook on your phone or Instagram, had a scroll through, maybe check the news, uh, you know Check and kind of see if you've had any likes or any follows or any comments. And then you brush your teeth. While you're brushing your teeth, you might have even done that, checking your phone or maybe listening to music. And you got in your shower, and while you're in the shower, you were, you're thinking about what's ahead of you today. How much time do you have? What are you having for breakfast? What the morning traffic's going to be like. You get out, you get into your bedroom, you decide what clothes you're going to wear. You wonder what it's going to look like, what's clean, what's dirty, what's going to be appropriate to wear today. You get dressed, you go downstairs, grab a bit of half a breakfast, you scoff it in you, and you might not finish it all, you might eat half of it, and you probably eat it in front of looking at your phone or in front of the TV, and you jump in your car, you immediately put the radio on, or listen to a podcast, you're in traffic, you're wondering when you're going to get into work, you're trying to find a parking space, you're maybe beating yourself up that you didn't leave a bit earlier to get a bit of a better space. You're walking into work, you wonder what the vibe is today, what meetings you got planned, what's going on. And some of that might apply to you and some of it might not, but typically that's how a lot of us live our lives, and it's how often a lot of our mornings start. And whenever we're being mindful, what we do is we take a second to really be in the moment that we're in. And if we were to rewind that, and how that looks a little bit differently, is that whenever we wake up in the morning, and we get out of bed, we just take a second just to appreciate the fact that we've woken up this morning, the fact that we're alive, and the fact that we have this day. Whenever you're completely mindful, you're more grateful of simple things. So simply just getting out of bed and just open up your blinds, and whether it's rainy or whether it's sunny, you just appreciate that that you have this day, and that you have so many choices and so many freedoms. Whenever you go into the bathroom, you leave your phone behind, and you really pay attention even to the simple acts of washing your hands or brushing your teeth. You allow yourself to be in that moment, to notice how your toothpaste feels, to notice how the water feels on your skin. Think about whenever you're in the shower. How many showers have we had that we've actually enjoyed the smell of the soap or the feeling of the hot water against our skin? Most of us, and I'm guilty of this too, are time traveling in our showers. We're in the shower thinking about what we're doing next, or what happened yesterday, or we're planning for the mindfulness video that we're going to do later on, and we don't actually take the second to appreciate this water that we have. The lives that we live in mostly are so blessed and are so blissful. There's so many people across the world who live in suffering, who live in fear, who live in active war zones, who don't have that simple pleasure of being able to stand and just appreciate the water. Because most of us are, like I say, thinking about the next moment, or thinking about a past moment, or judging this present moment in some way. Oh, this room's too cold, oh, the soap's running out, oh, I need to paint in here. It's not taking a second just to fully embrace this moment, because really, put quite simply, our life is taking place in these moments, in these experiences that we have. So as I'm sat here in this, in this forest, my life is right here, right now. It's not when I'm setting up the camera, and it's not going to be later when I'm uploading this video, hoping that I get lots of likes and lots of views. It's right here, and quite often we forsake this moment that we're in, because we're often worrying or stressing about the future, or thinking about the past, like I mentioned. Then we get out of the shower, and again we're worried about clothes we want to wear. We're thinking about what people are going to think about them, and instead of just appreciating our wardrobe, which we're so blessed, again, to use that word, to have so many clothes, to have so many options, to be able to choose what it is, whatever it is that we want to wear, instead of worrying about what the people are going to think about it, deciding instead what's going to feel comfortable for us, what we like the look of, or something that feels nice. Getting dressed, going down, and again with food, how often are we spending our time eating our food in front of devices? We have five senses, and how many of those senses do we actually direct towards our food? Usually just about sight. But even when I talk to people about mindful eating, I say, how many times have you ever put a forkful or a spoonful of food in your mouth only to realize that the fork or the spoon was empty because you were so engrossed in whatever it was that you were watching, you never even appreciated your food. So, what would it look like if we were to use our five senses? I do experiment with the P6s and P7s in the primary schools where we do mindful eating, and I get them to take a piece of chocolate, and I get them to really hold it and examine it, feel it in their fingers, smell it, gently put it on their tongue, hold it in there, allow themselves to really embrace that. I'm not talking about anyone starting to massage their beef curry before they eat it. You don't need to get wild with it, but I think that taking a couple of seconds just to really appreciate those meals that we have, and to allow ourselves to be present in this moment and enjoy the food, I think it creates a whole new experience. And again, we're in the car, and how much of our life do we actually spend in the car, in traffic, behind the wheel, and we're always rushing to try and get to the next thing. What's going to happen in work, but then when we arrive in work, what's going to happen when we speak to our boss, and then whenever we speak to our boss, what do they actually think about what we said? So it's always just skipping ahead. It's never allowing itself just to be here in the moment. And so that's basically what mindfulness is. It's allowing yourself to be here in this present. Because whenever we're worrying, whenever we're stressing, there's a part of our brain called the hypothalamus, and it sends a signal to release cortisol and adrenaline into our bodies whenever we're thinking about these things that happened in the future, in the past. And these stress hormones, create a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety, which in small doses can be good, and can be quite helpful for us if we're in traffic. Literally, if we're standing in the middle of the road and a car's coming towards us, that stress response, which triggers the fight or flight, allows us to jump out of the way instead of coming into harm. But most of us don't live in lives where we are in immediate danger. There's parts of the brain that are tens and tens and tens of thousands of years old that really haven't changed, haven't changed in all that time. But really our environments and our situations have changed. When it used to be that we were in more naturalistic environments, when we were against the elements, when we were in danger of predators, those responses were very helpful. They really kept us alive. But now that we live in civilized to a certain degree society, that part of our brain is still looking for those dangers, and we tend to end up living in our thoughts, in our imaginations about what's happening. How often are our thoughts catastrophic? Someone's 10 minutes late home from work. Oh, they must be in a 10-car pileup in the motorway. We see that our partner has got a few new followers on Instagram or Facebook. Oh, they must be cheating on us, or they're finding something better else out there. Going to those worst case scenarios. Getting ourselves involved in mind reading. You see somebody pull a face, or you wave at somebody and they don't respond, or you send someone a friend request and they don't get back to you, or they read your message but they don't respond, and we assume that we know what they're thinking. The mind really really gets us into trouble sometimes, and what it's trying to do is it's trying to look out for us. It's trying to keep us safe. It's trying to find that danger, And really the case is that there is no real physical danger a lot of the time. Really it's situations that we create for ourselves. And a good model to use in that situation is the 5 areas approach based in cognitive behavioral therapy. And what it talks about is that you have the first area, which is the event. So say you walk down the street and you wave at someone, they look at you and they don't respond. Then we have the second area, which is the thought, and we tend to have a negative thought. Oh, have I done something to hurt them? Or they're being ignorant and they've disrespected us. Then it gives us a feeling, which is the third area, which is frustration or sadness or anger, which then gives us a behavior. So maybe be complaining, or we might be feel like we need to pour ourselves a drink, or being a bit isolated or withdrawn. And then finally we get a physical response in our bodies. We get that flippy, knotted feeling, or we get a sore head, or we get tension. And that tends to go round in a loop. It perpetuates itself and it feeds itself. And one of the benefits of mindfulness is, of course, you can try and challenge those negative thoughts. They're maybe just having a bad day, or maybe they didn't, they needed glasses and they didn't see me, or maybe they just had some terrible news and they felt like if they stopped and talked to me, they might cry. Having that compassion for them. But quite a lot of the time it's difficult for us to really challenge those negative thoughts that we're having, especially if they're habitual. Meaning that if we've thought this way for a long time, if we think that we're not good enough, or if we think that people are constantly judging us, it's very difficult to kind of to fight that battle against ourselves, fight those inner demons, that stinking thinking. So mindfulness as a tool, and if you've watched any of the videos, you've seen that what we're doing is we're coming into the body, we're focusing on the breath. When we start to breathe, it calms down our nervous system. We do those 3 breaths at the start. And what that immediately does is it starts to purge out that cortisol and that adrenaline that's in our bodies. It begins to slow our heart straight away. And whenever we come out of that heightened state, we come out of that fight, flight, or freeze response. So we no longer feel there's as much danger. And it starts to take us out of that vortex of the vicious circle of the 5 areas. Then whenever we come into our bodies, when we feel our feet on the floor, where we notice our breath in our body through our touch, it pulls us out of the thought. The mind is a wonderful tool. It really is, It's the rocket science of rocket science. It's invented all the cars and the medicines and the technology. But like any tool, like a hammer's a great tool. But if you're kicking about Tesco with a hammer in your hand, you're gonna get in trouble. So it's important to know when to put it down, and it's the same with our minds. So whenever we're becoming mindful, whenever we're practicing our mindfulness, we're coming into our bodies, and we are coming more into ourselves. We're tuning into how we feel, and we're letting go of that mind. Now, unless you're some sort of Zen master, like the Dalai Lama or Eckhart Tolle, or Michael A. Singer. There's lots of people who've been doing this for all of their lives, and who've become quite advanced at some of these techniques. Your mind's gonna click on. So when you start closing your eyes and feeling your body sitting here, you can be breathing, you're listening to my soothing voice, you're feeling your feet on the floor, and it's a bit itchy actually. And there's these socks. Yeah, these ones are a bit tight actually. Oh, that's right, Debenhams has got a closing down sale, hasn't it? I need to get in there at the Debenhams. And what am I going to do? Where am I going to park? I see that car. Oh God, the flywheel's starting to rattle on that car. Here, I'm going to actually text. And you've completely wandered right off the path. So we're gonna have those moments where when our mind's gonna click in, but we need to be a good trainer of our minds. A really good way to think about our minds is a bit like a puppy. You know, what's a puppy like whenever you take it home? It's biting things, it's peeing on things, it's bringing you things you didn't ask for. It's being a bit wild. And there's four really good ways in which we can train our puppy minds. The first is to be firm, and it's to tell ourselves that I'm not going to engage in these thoughts. I'm not going to allow myself to go into a whole thought experiment about why everyone is, thinking that I'm a certain way, or, I'm going to be firm that this is what I'm going to focus on. You need to be kind. You can't be a drill sergeant. You can't beat your mind into submission. Things don't really work like that. We need to be patient, because it is going to wander off like our puppy. And whenever we allow ourselves to be patient, we stop ourselves for becoming frustrated and angry at our thoughts of frustration and anger. It just perpetuates itself. And finally, we need repetition. We need to keep coming back. We need to have that positive reinforcement. And that's the same way that we potty train a toddler, or we teach a dog to sit, is that we keep bringing it back and remind it what it's supposed to be doing. And it's the same way with our mind and with our thoughts. So when we're here and we're focusing on our breath, focusing on our body, the mind, the mind, a bit like clouds, will start to come. You'll have thick, black, stormy clouds, and you'll have light, little, wispy ones. And the thing is that we're not trying to grab and hold on to them. At the same time, we're not trying to wave them down the street, because we have about as much control over our minds as we do the clouds. But what we do have control over is what we give our attention to, and that's what we strengthen whenever we're doing our mindfulness practices. So, if you have watched and listened to a couple of my mindfulness videos, I really hope that you've enjoyed them. The thing about it is that it's about repetition. It's not about length of practice. So don't feel like you need to be doing these things for half an hour at a time. It's a couple of minutes here, it's a couple of minutes there. It's how we learn any new skill. It's doing it little and often. So if you have enjoyed them, it's wonderful. It's wonderful for me to think that people are getting a benefit from them. If you have any questions, I would really welcome you to send them through to me, and I hope you continue to enjoy them as we go along. And I'll try and make them varied and touch on different concepts that you might enjoy. Thank you so much, and see you back again soon.